It's interesting. The storage delivery has not changed as much as you would think with the onset of cloud computing. On one hand, I would tell you there's been very little change in the sense that storage footprint, whether it's delivered under a public cloud or a private cloud or a virtualized infrastructure, the actual delivery hasn't really changed. Now, on the other hand, who makes the decision in a public cloud and how that's outsourced? It's the decision making that's actually changed quite a bit, because it's not often, particularly for storage, at the storage architect level. It's more at a business application level or even a business unit owner level. So traditional channel partners will have to make some adaptations here, and the most important thing for them to do is to actually have a strategy. And I talk to a lot of partners who almost want to ignore that there's a shift in the market happening, or they will say, well, it's not really happening in my geography or my country or within my customer set. And I think that's the wrong approach. It's very important that they have a strategy, and I see that there are three main paths that they can go down. They can either decide that they're going to build their own cloud services, and many of our traditional partners have that opportunity, have that core competency. If they don't have that core competency, the other strategy would be to resell and refer services from some of our other cloud hosting providers, and that's a great way for them to stay in the business. The third strategy is to just decide, I'm not going to be in this game, and I'm going to work very hard at being the best I can be in private cloud or virtualized environments, and really build your strategy around that. But the point is, they need a strategy. You can't just sit idle. I get asked a lot whether or not the Asia channels have a more difficult time versus some of the other counterparts around the world in terms of dealing with this shift. And my current answer is I don't think they really do have a more difficult time. And part of my experience in traveling around the world and talking to a lot of different customers and partners is that each geography thinks the other geography has an easier time or something very different is occurring. And what I find is there's a lot more similarities than you may think. And in Asia in particular, I would tell you that Japan and South Korea, those markets have really heated up in terms of public cloud adoption. In Hong Kong, maybe not quite so much just yet, but I don't think that the degree of difficulty is anymore. I often find that it's more about, is there a compelling event? Is there some compelling shift that suddenly gets customers over that hurdle? And I think it'll happen here in Asia just as it has in other markets. So for channel partners to remain successful in the new cloud era, I think the most important thing is to not ignore that it's happening. And I just can't reinforce that enough. So many of our partners will tell you, nope, it's really not happening. And I think the most important thing is to realize it is happening. And secondly, you do need to actually have a strategy. And they need to work on that strategy, and they need to understand, how does this fit within my business model? Most of my partners, I would suggest the best strategy is for them to partner with hosting providers and service providers that have services in the market. I think that's the best possible approach for these the traditional reseller, because they don't have to go too far outside their current comfort zone. They already have the connections and the contacts within the data center. They already know storage. They have a reseller model. It's just a question of how do they partner up with hosting companies and others that are driving these services.